So it is time for me to make another jar of underarm deodorant. I make homemade underarm deodorant, and it's very easy. And all of the products that I use are safe for you. It wasn't too long ago that I found out that using the name brand underarm deodorants like Secret and Dove, while those smell really good and they do work pretty well, they contain chemicals in them that are actually toxic to you and are linked to breast cancer. I also had a worry about breastfeeding and those chemicals, getting into my baby ingesting those chemicals, which again is also harmful and linked to childhood illnesses. Anyways, I am not a doctor, so I'm not really going to sit here and talk about all of the issues with deodorants that cause disease or whatever, but I do know that it is unhealthy to use those, but it's also, I don't enjoy smelling. So I at first was looking into people who already figured out a recipe, and I was buying natural organic underarm deodorants that someone else made. The one that I was using was Primal Pit Paste, and it actually, that's Vincent scratching in the background, it actually did work okay. It did not work any better than what I ended up making for myself. And I ended up having to make it for myself because I was reacting to the Primal Pit Paste. My my armpits broke out in weird sores, and they itched and burned, and I was miserable, and it took over a month and a half to finally clear up. And I was like, okay, no more. And I think it was possibly the amount of baking soda that they put into it. And I'm going to talk about baking soda whenever I talk about how to make my recipe. But what you need is a jar, and preferably it needs to be glass. If you use any of the essential oils do not do well in plastic. So you just need a little glass jar. Any kind of glass jar will work. So I have a glass jar, and then I use aloe vera, witch hazel, I use almond oil and coconut oil, and then I have baking soda here, and then yeah, that's it. You don't need all of these. You could just use coconut oil and almond oil, or you could just use coconut oil and witch hazel. Like, you can make up your own recipe using 1, 2, or all of these, or more, but this works for me. And I'm going to put basically the ingredients and my recipe in the description below in case you're not able to keep up. But basically I just use tablespoon and teaspoon, and then I just use a baby spoon to stir it in here. Alright, so I'm going to do this real fast. And I'm going to first talk about the baking soda. So if you ever have reactions to homemade recipes, it's normally the baking soda that gives you a reaction. It's really good for killing the odor, eliminating the odor, like body odor, but it is sensitive, like your skin can be sensitive to it. So if you make a recipe and you include baking soda and you have a reaction, use less baking soda. That's what I've had to do. I still do use a little bit of baking soda, but only just enough to kill the odor but not cause a reaction in me. So I'm just going to use 1 teaspoon. So it's really not that much, but it does make a difference, I think. And then I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of everything else. So And it's not exact, you know, you don't have to be exact with it. So there's a tablespoon of coconut oil. And I'm going to do a tablespoon of almond oil. And a tablespoon of witch hazel. And you have to be really careful because the witch hazel can spray out if you have a jug like this. I know, I sprayed it all over myself. And if you get the witch hazel that contains alcohol, that is not the best. I would definitely look for one that does not have alcohol in it and is oil-free. That one's oil-free. Witch hazel can be used for so many things. And then the aloe vera, I do a tablespoon of it also. Alright. And then I'm just going to go ahead and stir it real quick. And I do, some days I sweat or have body odor worse than other days. So I actually keep this in my purse with me. I have not had any issues with it leaking out. So I just keep the lid on really tight. And really the amount that you used is kind of, it's your own preference. There's really not a right or wrong. It's just what works for you. Okay, and then I'm gonna use lavender. I also like to use citrus because I like kind of the orange smell, but I'm out of citrus. So I'm just gonna use lavender. I'm just gonna do 1, 2, 3 drops of lavender. I'm gonna do 2 drops of tea tree. Nope, that was 3. And then I am going to do a drop of peppermint. I like peppermint. Just 1 little drop. Mix that up. And if you are wondering, yes, it is a liquid. I use a cotton ball. Dab it in there, and you just need a little bit. You don't need to get the cotton ball completely soaked. And then I just dab it on my armpits, and it dries really, really fast, and it works really well. Like I said, some days I do have to apply it more than the 1 time in the morning, and other days I don't. But you know, I don't mind applying it a second time because I know that I'm at least being healthier for myself. So if I have to do it an extra time a day, that's fine. And it was cheap, cheap, cheap. I mean, that stuff's gonna last forever. And this lasts for a while too. And yes, whenever I go to use it, I do give it a little shake right before I use it. What else? Oh, I was gonna say, if you don't want to do the liquid and you want it to be thicker and you want to like have a thicker paste, you can keep this in the fridge, and the coconut oil that's in it will cause it to become more of a solid. But I don't mind the liquid at all, but some people might actually like the coolness if it's kept in the fridge. So I'm going to show you what it looks like once it's all made. And it already is kind of thick, but it doesn't really leave any residue once it's on. It's very clear. I really, really like it, and it works super well, and it smells really good. So yeah, that is that. If you have any questions about it, just leave your question in the comments and I'll try to help you. But I mean, it's really, really easy, very self-explanatory, and it's cheap, 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 and yes, it works. I almost would say that it works better than the Primal Pit Paste. It smells better. And you can use any essential oil too. If you like lemon or you like a flowery smell, you can use a flowery smell or a flowery smelling essential oil. If you have a different basic oil, it's not almond, that would work too. So yeah. But anyways, that was my homemade underarm deodorant recipe. And let me know if you have any questions.